What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, as you can see behind me, we got a pretty large desk that was just completed. Now, this desk is made of hardwood floor planks and plywood, and this is something you can do too. So let's go ahead and see the processes involved. All right, the most tedious process is now complete with this desk build. Got all the hardwood planks on top of the plywood. And let me go ahead and show you guys what's going on next. As you can see, I got the straight edge piece of plywood. That's what I had in my scrap pile. Want to find the most straight board that I can find, and this was it. So with the right and left sides of the desk, you're gonna have a few jagged edges of hardwood overlapping the plywood. So I went ahead, protected the wood with some masking tape because I don't want my circular saw scratching up this wood surface. And as you can see underneath here, there's about a 1/16 inch overhang right there, and I want to be flush with this plywood. Let me show you what's going on the other side. And this side right here, I'm about 1/4 away from being flush with the plywood. So I went ahead, made some marks on the top of the tape right here, 1/4 inch, and I measured 5 inches from this mark right here over to where the plywood guide is gonna be. And the reason for 5 inches, this is the bottom side of my circular saw. I've got a nice finished blade installed, by the way. So if you're gonna make a careful cut on some furniture, go ahead and put a fine tooth blade in your circular saw. So if I take the measuring tape and measure from that blade over to here, that's basically 5 inches right there, and that's where we want to be at. So I'm going to go ahead, put my eye and ear protection on, and go ahead and make this cut very carefully. Let's get started. And we got a fresh delivery from Etsy. I ordered these from a guy up in New York. He basically makes custom legs for desks, tables, whatever it is. Now, typically he uses 2-inch steel. So I thought 2 inches too small, asked if he could do 3-inch, and sure enough, he agreed. Now I gave him the dimensions, 28 wide, 28 tall. So technically, if I took the measurement from the bottom here to the top, it's 27.5 because of the fact that these legs come with adjustable feet right there. So this foot height is about 1/2 inch, and there's threaded inserts on each bottom of the leg. So the craftsmanship, I'm really impressed with. I mean, the welds, they're really good right there. And these legs will give that desk a nice industrial look once we're all said and done. Now, some people paint these things. I could take this to a powder coater, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave this raw steel because basically the fabricator, he puts a clear coat on top of this to avoid any rust. So I think it's gonna give it a good industrial look, leaving this thing raw like that. I'm kind of digging that look right there. Now, in order to mount this thing to the underside of the desk, now even though these desk legs came with some self-tapping screws, mount to the underside, and here's all the mounting holes on the top plate right there. I believe there's 7 of them, but we're gonna do a stronger method than the self-tapping screws. Let me show you what's going on. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, these are basically threaded inserts for furniture. And here's a close-up of what these inserts look like. As you can see, there's raw threads on the outside. And on the inside right there, there's actually machine threads. In order to install this thing on the underside of the desk, actually you need a pre-drill and then take an Allen wrench and then go ahead and turn it in position. So with your drill, go ahead and take a piece of masking tape and mask the depth. You don't want to drill through the top side of your desk. So this basically just gives an example of the depth of the tape that I marked on the drill bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how deep this is compared to the top. Okay, now looking at the top, I'm gonna go ahead, position this to the underside. And then so with this insert in position, it looks like it's about 1/2 inch away from the top, which is perfect. And for the desk legs, I actually got 4 pieces, 1 on each end, and then basically 2 on the corner right there. Now, while I was in communication with the Etsy fabricator, I asked him if he could make a custom L bracket for this corner right here. So he gave me a price. It was outrageous because of the shipping and whatnot. He couldn't fold it flat. So I was like, you know what? We'll just do a leg right here and a leg right there. And on that top plate, go ahead and notch out a 45 angle. So sure enough, he did that. So I'm looking forward to mounting the legs on this desk. It's really gonna transform this thing. And then after that, we'll have one final step and we'll get to that. So in order to get started on mounting the desk legs, I'm gonna go ahead, lift up this edge, slide the leg in position, and I'm gonna make sure I have 1 inch overhang on the left and right side and also on the edge. And I'll go ahead, take a pencil and mark the mounting holes. And then once I have the holes marked with a marker or a pencil, I'll go ahead and pull the legs back out, and I'm gonna go on the underside with a drill and start pre-drilling. And then we can go ahead, use an Allen wrench and thread those inserts in position. Now, once the inserts are installed on the underside of the desk, I'm gonna carefully put the leg back in, and I'm gonna go ahead, take bolts and washers, and we're gonna mount it to the mounting plate, and that'll basically hold that leg in, and then we'll repeat the process for this side right here. So let's go ahead, get the inserts pre-drilled, installed, and then we'll go ahead and mount the legs on. And this seems to be the worst part of mounting legs, the corner aspect. So we got 2 sections, obviously. Need to make sure everything's spaced accordingly. Let me show you what's going on. So from the front lip over to the leg, I got 1 inch. Left side of the leg, 1 inch as well. And then moving on to this section, got 1 inch. And I've also got 1 inch. Now in order to hold these legs so I can figure out the permanent position, I've got wood clamps, clamping them down. And if I need to make some fine adjustments, piece of wood and a hammer, don't hit the metal directly with the hammer. You'll damage the metal right there. Now the corner of this desk is quite awkward with the leg orientation, but however the fabricator Lou, I asked if he could make some 45 angles up there at the top plate. I don't know if you can barely see that, but that's basically how they're butted up. So if I didn't have him do that, these legs would have to go further that way, and it wouldn't look right. So I think that looks pretty good. So Lou, if you're watching this video, thank you for the phenomenal fabrication, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave your Etsy link below. So the best method for mounting these legs to the underside is once these things are clamped, I'm gonna take a small drill bit, and I'm actually gonna go through the top plate on all 7 holes. And that'll basically eliminate any room for error trying to mark these things and having the drill shift over while I free drill this thing. So let's go ahead, pre-drill this. We'll pull the legs back off, put the inserts in, and then we'll get our bolts and our washers and attach the legs. And here's her out at the desk. This thing is looking fantastic. All these edges cut super smooth to shape. Went ahead and made sure all dimensions are kosher. Now, last step right here is to go ahead and finish off the edges. As you can see, edge ain't quite finished right there. As you can see, the underside of the hardwood floor with all those grooves and whatnot. So the solution to this, I'm gonna go ahead and take some walnut 1x pieces and go ahead and glue and clamp these things to the edge of the desk right here. So here's our 1x pieces. Now basically these things came in 1x6 and I ripped them down with a table saw, went ahead and routed them down with the router. As you can see, those edges are quite smooth. And I went ahead and stained it and put 3 coats of clear coat on here, and these things are looking absolutely fantastic. It's a real dark piece. So my goal is to put real dark accents on the outside of this desk right here, because if I tried to match this thing, it wouldn't quite match up so I'm not sure what the manufacturer used for these hardwood floor planks, but as you can see, it's got a little bit of a red hue to it. So if I put a real dark accent around here, it's gonna make it really pop. So that was the idea in getting some real dark stain right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, put this up to the edge of the desk, mark it with a pencil. I'm gonna do a 45 outside cut right here. And once I have the strip loosely clamped in position, I'll go ahead and take my pencil, mark it, and do another 45 outside cut. And I'll take a wood piece right here with another 45 outside cut just to make sure the intersection fits perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of my strips, loosely clamp it to the edge right here, do a mark right there, pencil, another pencil mark, 2 45 outside cuts, and then we'll go ahead and glue and clamp this in position for the first strip. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first edge strip has been cut off with the outside 45 angles. Got 2 clamps right here and got some tie straps. 2 clamps tied together. It is what it is, but I didn't feel like going to buy long clamps just for this project. So make do with what I've got. Protecting the wood with some scrap blocks right there, just so I don't mar up the nice finish. So we'll go ahead and allow the wood glue to cure for a few hours, and then we'll go ahead and address the other wood strips, and I'll start the other long ends right there. Second longest strip, have the 2 45 outside cuts completed, now clamped in position, and my neighbor's nice enough to let me borrow 3 clamps, so we're rocking and rolling without the tie down straps, even though I got one tie down strap right there for the long run. This thing is nice and flush on the top there. Corner is turning out really nice right there, so I'm pretty happy. This thing is starting to transform. We are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So we'll go ahead, let the Gorilla Glue set up for 20 to 30 minutes from what the instructions say, remove the clamps, and we'll go ahead and move on to the short end right here. Okay, we got the second to last piece cut, glued, and clamped in position. Now I went ahead and took some measurements for my final piece. Now let me show you a trick when I'm cutting this trim on my miter saw. So you might want to get in the habit, whenever you do a cut on your miter saw, to wrap up the wood in painter's tape. That way it avoids splitting of any sort. So when you wrap the wood edges with some painter's tape right here before you cut, you're basically preventing any splintering from the miter saw. And then when you're cutting with the miter saw, take it real slow, especially right here at the bottom, because this miter saw has a tendency to do some chips at the bottom, no matter if you have it taped or not. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel this tape off and show you how much of a crisp cut that miter saw made. See, there's the bottom. So there's just a little bit of chipping right there. But look on the side, I mean, that's basically perfect. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but no chipping whatsoever. So just do yourself a favor and use some painter's tape when you're cutting this trim with the miter saw. And same thing for this inside cut right here, which will be going right in there. Okay, let me go ahead and peel the last piece of tape off. We'll go ahead and put it in position, make sure it fits right. And I'll go ahead and pull these clamps off since the glue is now cured. So let's go ahead and get our final piece of the puzzle glued in position. Alrighty guys, ready to see the finished results? And here we are, completed L-shaped desk, 6.5 by 6.5, 30 inches deep. This thing turned out phenomenal. I'm more than happy with the end results right here. And just look at that edge trim. Really finished this thing off. I was really hesitant of using hardwood floor planks, but this edge trim just really cleaned it up. In the 3-inch steel, 8-shaped legs turned out phenomenal. I actually had to use 4 of them. Now I was trying to do a single piece on this outside corner, but talking to the fabricator, he said the shipping is just gonna be astronomical, so let's just go ahead and do 2 pieces. So that's what it is. It turned out pretty good, I'm happy. So what do you guys think? Do you like this hardwood floor desk? Took a long time to do, but I think the end results speak for themselves. And I'm gonna be more than happy to be working behind this desk right here. Okay, so that's the virtual tour of this L-shaped desk. Now let's go ahead and talk about pricing, all the materials it took in order to make this desk happen. And moving on to pricing, starting with the main wood component, which is walnut hickory. These are tongue and groove. I had to buy 2 boxes, $132 each, for a total of $264. And these perimeter edge strips right here, this is also walnut hickory. Now I bought these in 1x6 boards, 8-foot length, came in a 2-pack. The cost of those were $150 for both boards. Obviously I had to take those on a table saw, rip them into strips, take our routers to the edges, sand them, stain them, put the polyurethane in place, and went ahead, did the 45 angles, and clamped and glued. And for the wood stain, the polyurethane and the brush, that was about $25. Now the plywood structure, which everything is glued and screwed into, that's $45 for the sheet. The deck screws I used are $12 a box, or $24 for 2 boxes. 2 balls of wood glue at $8 each, or $16. Threaded inserts, which supports the metal legs on the bottom, $12 a package. Bolts and washers, $17. And the most important part that supports this whole structure is the 3-inch metal legs from Etsy, $732 for 4 pieces, shipped to my house. Now, according to my calculations, this desk cost me $1,285 in materials. It is expensive, yes. You could probably buy one in IKEA for about $300 or less, but you're not gonna have this size, and you're not gonna have the enjoyment of knowing that you built your desk yourself. So as I mentioned before, I'm very happy of how this desk turned out. It turned out phenomenal. I'm happy with the craftsmanship. I'm happy with the colors and whatnot and all the dimensions. So I'm good to go, and hopefully this thing will just last me a lifetime. Can't wait to put my computer equipment on here and start working here full time. Alrighty guys, that wraps up the custom desk project using pre-finished hardwood floor planks, plywood sub base, and custom metal legs. And I've been working at this thing for a week now, and this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Turned out perfect. Now this is something that you can build as well, using the hardwood floor planks of your choice with some basic carpentry skills. Now keep in mind, the materials for this project cost a lot more, rather than going to the store and buying a prefabricated desk made of particle board. And also, this thing is a lot more solid than those store-bought desks as well. Now, if you have any questions about the carpentry skills or the materials used for this desk, please feel free to comment below, and I'll do the best I can to answer all questions. And if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.